Peace, y'all. What's going on? It's your man, SoulMan IT. Welcome. If this is your first time to the channel, and welcome back. If this is not your first time to the channel and you're coming back to see what my crazy behind self is doing this time around. Hopefully you have more faith in me and I'm not just crazy whatever to y'all. But I mean, if it's crazy in a good way, if we're going to do that, for doing that, you know. Anyway, wanted to give y'all a update as to what's been going on. So I got 3 points here in my handy dandy notebook. Shout out to Steve from Blues Clues. Not shout out like he gave this to me, but for any, never mind. If you get the reference, you get the reference. If you don't, look up Blues Clues. Our first point is going to be addressing, we're going to call this health part 2, right? You can go on my blog, SoulMan, you can go on my website, SoulMan IT, and check out the blog section. I wrote about what's been going on with me medical and health-wise. So not to just get too much into it here because it's already documented and you can just go there. I have respiratory issues now that I caused myself. And you could say like the air outside and good old Pittsburgh and all that, there's played something with it. But, you know, as far as emphysema goes, you get that from smoking and not treating your body right, amongst many other things. So I just deal with respiratory stuff is what I'm getting at. I'm trying to be vague, but not trying to be vague because I don't want to promote certain stuff, nor do I want folks whom I used to smoke with and all that to feel a type of ways like, oh my God, now he done made the 180. He's a truth commercial. Like, come on, y'all. I'm just trying to do what's best. I'm trying to do what's best for me. And if you come here to the channel, then I'm trying to have, you know, an open dialogue in that regard. So about top of the year, for some of you who know, you know that a lot of us, including myself, dealing with mental health. And I'm saying it in the general way because obviously I had a show called the Self-Checkout Line, right? And part of why I named it that is for those who have gone through those thoughts for years, decades even, right? Like some of us. And yeah, not fun stuff, not stuff you really want to talk about, especially in a public open forum. But with the amount of folks that do end up completing that task of being in the self-checkout line, and I called it the self-checkout line because I used to work self-checkout at the grocery store. It was a mind-numbing job, right? But in terms of the reference, you just, like if you're like the person that's at the counter that, you know, that waits on the self-checkout kiosk and the people who come up, if you're using that as as an analogy, you have people that the line keeps growing, is what I'm saying. Right? And there's no teller or cashier that's there, AKA someone who's going to be like, hey, and that's what I started noticing even more. It's not like it started this year or something. It's been happening. I think as a society, at least here in the Americas, we're at the point where we're just like, you know, if that's what people want to do, let them do it. We're very callous. We're very cold. We don't like to admit that. We like to perpetuate that we're these things, like in a gangster sense or a tough sense or a grit sense, whatever it may be. And it's not like I don't get it. If you're raised by folks that are gangsters, gentlemen, G-men of another time, right, then there is a certain grit and callousness that that'll rub off on you. And then if you've had to do some of those things, then it's just natural that you're going to have some of that. And then your emotional battle is way different than what a lot of others I would argue we're dealing with now. Not to get too off the path with this. You know, I had some folks who had said, like, you know, keep doing this series. Not too many folks. And so I don't want to continue the self-checkout line series. If anything, I'll do a SoulMan IT podcast and we'll figure out what that looks like as far as interviewing people, checking in with people, especially if I haven't seen them or heard from them. I do like social media, or I like what it used to be, where people were staying in contact with each other and weren't making excuses for why they weren't staying in contact. Now, I think we're at a point where people are socially exhausted, meaning your friends, your family, your romantic or romantics, in some cases for folks, if you have children and they're now of age where like let's say like they're 18 now and they have their own channel or their own page, and like you're a parent and you have your own channel and your own page. Some of the stuff that for me as a teacher that I know some of the parents and some of the kids I teach, they go through, like where everyone's hiding their stuff. So we're not actually being truthful in these spaces anymore. And that's not saying everyone should reveal everything. That's not what's being said. Excuse me. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that if we do want more honest communication, we want more honest community, we want more honest relationships and just bondships with folks, then we have to be more open. And we have to be especially open about why are we not communicating? That's all. Because then it wouldn't be, some folks don't check in as much because like time will go by and then you're thinking in the back of your head, oh, damn, I done let 5 months go by. Does this person feel a type of ways? Sometimes, yeah. And you have to be open to that. Like, you have to be open. You can't escape that. You can't skirt that responsibility. Put it like this here. Some stuff that folks do with their bosses and their managers, or excuse me, that you wouldn't do with your bosses or your managers because you'd probably get fired, right? You should probably take a little bit of that same headset with those you love and care for. Right? Because what it starts to be is that you're taking advantage of your relationships. You're taking advantage of the time that goes by, as well as the time that was spent and that was built up in nurturing and fostering that relationship. That's all that's being said. So moving on from that, just addressing my health concerns along with, the self-checkout line show and series. That'll be, it's at 3 episodes. So if you're more than welcome to check those episodes out. I don't want to take those down. They're a part of the history of me and the history of this channel. The last episode was checking in with Paradise Gray from Exclaim. Shout out to Paradise, right? And I do want to continue that kind of a interview series of some sort, that interview style. So you can consider that like maybe the first episode of the SoulMan IT podcast is the episode with Paradise Gray, and I'll probably just rebrand that in some sense, just visual wise for that to happen. So in saying that, if there's people that you would like for me to interview, right, I'm gonna have my own guests that I'll interview. I don't want the podcast to be solely based off of interviews alone. I would like to get some rotating co-hosts at some point, so I am working on that as far as who do I have good banter with, and not just that, but when it comes to serious topics, societal topics, community topics, life topics, work topics, things of substance, right? I want to have co-host people that I can talk with, and we can go back and forth in a way that's not adversarial all the time. I think we have enough of that. If you're looking for that, you can look somewhere else for that. But you will not find that here, especially in relation as a communications major. You will not find that here. I want communications and critical thinking and a safe space in a community sense that holds people accountable, and not your typical way of saying safe space, right? I know I'm getting long and drawn out with this here, so I'll try to wrap it up. But I think y'all get the gist of what I'm saying. So let me move on to my next point, which is my other channels. So y'all know I be making like mad channels or websites or just anything multimedia because I'm a multimedia child. My father made the radio station back home in Binghamton when he was alive. Rest in peace, my pops. And that's how he and my mother met, right? Was working at the radio station that he had built with his team of folks and community folks. So in a sense, that's kind of what I'm doing here, is building up my own, not radio station, but podcast station. If it gets to radio, terrestrial radio and all that stuff, cool, alhamdulillah. If not, still cool, alhamdulillah. I think there's something to be said for when you can make, when you I didn't get to see my dad make the station because I was born afterward, a little bit after the station's emergence. But I think there is something to be said from watching how much work he put into post radio station as well. And the fact that we can click buttons right now and you literally have a platform. Like, as Gary Vee would say, you have a production studio in your pocket. And that's just mind blowing. It really is mind blowing, especially if you come from, Like I'm an 80s baby, right? So, pre 2000, if you come from that era and you can remember that era, right? Then you already know what I'm getting at. And there's a lot of this crazy opportunity for you to critically think, put your head to the paper, pen and paper, write your ideas down, work that out. And if you have something to say that's of value, that's of substance, that's not destructive, it's constructive, then do it. Then do it. If you want to do a faceless channel, you go ahead and do that, because I understand more and more why folks want to do that, especially in the sense of anonymity. And it, as like a Gary Vee kind of student, right? Internet Gary Vee student, virtual influencers, like AI influencers, or even just you speaking and having an avatar or profile pic or something that's in place of you talking. Go ahead and do it, right? So moving away from that for a second, the channels that I have is currently, you see right here, the SoulMan IT channel that we have. And then I do, on this channel, you're going to have the podcast and you're going to have music making. Those are like the main stuff, right? I don't want to overcrowd my content like I did in the past, where it's just like episode of gaming here, then music here, then a podcast here, then a vlog here. And it was all over the place, right? So I've tried to trim the fat off the meat, so to speak, off the steak. I love steak. And so SoulMan IT, you'll have music making, you'll have more conscious, critically thinking, communicating stuff here. I have other channels that I'll debut at some point that deal with media literacy, as well as just media production. So if you'd like to see more of that, specifically tell me what you want to see when it comes to media literacy and building and learning online, or whatever it may have you. If you don't know what media literacy is, look it up right now. Look it up right now. Go to Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, wherever you got to go, right? Go there, look it up, educate yourself on what that is. Come back here and say, hey, this is what I'd like to learn in relation to that, right? For gaming content, I got 2 channels, right? I got the main gaming channel, Home Arcade Classics, right? That's mainly what it's been, is first player games with a storyline, and then old school games that I came up playing that I want to show folks, especially like folks like my mother, or people who didn't come up during the initial video game, like in the 80s and 90s, even before then too. You had like point and click games like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, LucasArts games. I used to play those a lot, love those games. So you'll find a home for that on that channel there. Then I have Pubnanigans. That is PUBG and shenanigans. I separated that out too because Home Arcade Classics is going to be more family friendly-ish, whereas Pubnanigans, it's a shooter game. Third-person shooter, first-person shooter. It's a shooter game, right? So, yeah, not trying to mix the two of them together as if they belong together in the same space. In my opinion, they don't. And as a teacher, as an uncle, I don't want to blur the lines of things that I believe should be separate, right? How you run your own household is how you run your own household. You do what you do. Just be accountable for what you do. And so I'm trying to be accountable for how we run in the house over here, right? So if you want to see some crazy shenanigans and what I get into with that, you go over to Pubnanigans. If you want to see, basically, there's no M for mature type content that's going to be on Home Arcade Classics, unless I can scrub it in a way that makes it, applicable for at least a mature audience that's becoming mature. I think you know what I'm trying to get to. It's just trying to make it where the content speaks for itself, right? The other channel I have is Intro Muslim. This is a starter. It's like a starter kit, intro kit to Islam for Western speakers, for Americans, but people who speak English as a first language. My mother converted to Islam. It's going on 3 years now. And I wanted to have a way for her to learn Islam easily online, without having to get bogged down by the different sectionalities within Islam that will dictate oftentimes how something should be taught. And especially if you don't speak Arabic from the jump, right? Or you haven't at least been reading and writing that, and reading Quran and things like that. I like for me, as a kid, that's what my dad. As soon as I was born Muslim, right? It's way easier for me to jump into these different cultures, especially if there's a Muslim or Islamic or African, Arab, Afro-Arab influence that's there. Whereas for others, it may not be so. And where do they go, right? So, intromuslim.com, as well as the Intro Muslim channel, you'll be able to find what I'm doing there. We're getting ready to do alphabets, right? Learning the Arabic alphabet soon. So, Insha Allah, looking really forward to that. So, that's the layout of my channels, right? SoulMan IT, Home Arcade Classics, Pubnanigans, and Intro Muslim. Check those out. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share them around. And yeah, I'll see you all over in those channels there. Before I go, I would like to end this on a third and final point, and that is to be better with time. All of us. Be better with our time. And this is something that applies to me because I suck with this. I absolutely suck with this. And part of why I'm saying this is we are in a global time that feels like there's a shot clock that we can feel, but we may not see, right? In certain religions, they talk about end of times, end of days. For those who are on the secular side of things or atheist or agnostic, you feel the pressure of time. You feel time as we're feeling, as all of us are feeling. It's getting faster, right? You feel like you have less time. There's some days that just draw out, and those are long days. But for the most part, I think we could agree that time is speeding up, and it feels like you're losing time. It feels like you don't have enough time. So be okay with that. You can't control time. I think if we could control time, we would have already tried it by now. But then there's the thing of it's already written in stone. You can't change the past. The past is the past. You make peace with the past. And on that note, you can't necessarily forgive yourself. So ask for forgiveness. Know who you asking forgiveness from. And I'm saying that because I do truly feel and believe, especially in going into the hospital twice in the ER and feeling like this is my time. And there's still the knowledge of we don't know when our time is going to be. We just don't. We feel these experiences and moments throughout time. And we have to have a better relationship with that. Some people we spend time with, we might have to pull back from. So you can spend time maybe with others, but maybe not with others, and spend time on things that are of more value to you, of more importance to you. For instance, for me, in these hospital scares and medical scares that I've had, working on more time with Allah, with my God, with the God that I believe we all have and all serve, or all should serve, the one God. But I'm not saying that to convert y'all, so relax, chill. But to try to give an example, like spending time. What am I spending time doing? So I've been doing my best to pray more. And at this stage in my life, this is the most sincerest I believe I've ever been in trying to make my prayer times, be on time for prayer as much as I can. But like waking up for bed and in the morning for Fajr, and you're ready to go. That was not me when I was a kid. Man, I was trying to get my Z's in. Couldn't tell me nothing, right? But that's my point, is it's a changing in time. I'm about to be 37 in a month. And I spent 37 years of time on this planet. And then when you look back and be like, what have I done? What have I accomplished? What do I have to say for it? Right? And there's some years or some times where we're just like, oh my God, I don't like it. But shout out to my cousin Kevin, because, he had said like, yo, I want you to do every Friday, which happens to be my holy day. On Fridays, Jumu'ah, right? Jumu'ah Mubarak. Tomorrow, actually. But look at what you did this past week. Write it down. What you did accomplish, what you didn't accomplish, what did you want to accomplish, what do you hope to accomplish next week? And then the next Friday, you do the same thing again. We need to go back to that. If you haven't gone back, if you've never done that before, start doing it. If you've gotten off the track of doing that, go back to doing that, right? But yeah, just trying to be better with time. So that's what I would encourage, and that's what I would encourage us all to try to do better with is what do you spend time with doing, and just be better with your time. Some of this was inspired by the movie In Time, Justin Timberlake movie. Never thought I'd be quoting a Justin Timberlake movie. No shots. Cry me a river. I'm sorry. I thought it was a dope movie. It's got my man Cillian Murphy in there as well, you know, from Peaky Blinders. Shout out to Cillian. You know, Irish folk for the win. Afro-Irish man over here. So it's just like, it's a really good movie, really good concept. I know when it came out, and if you read certain reviews, folks feel a type of ways about it. Just give it a watch. It's on, I believe it's on YouTube, so you can watch it right on here. If you got YouTube Premium, you can watch it without the ads. If you don't, you can still watch it, and you know, just get you a cup of tea or something like that, you know, or a glass of water or something like that while you watch it. But I would implore you to watch it just because of the concept of time being the currency, and you know, your rent costs like 3 months of time. Your car note costs 1 month, and we all only have like 1 year of time on our arm. And after that is Rap City in the basement. So, yeah, all in all, time. I really thank y'all for watching and bearing with your man, SoulMan IT. I'm gonna wrap this one up here. It's good seeing y'all here, even though I can't see you, but it's good to be seen and not viewed. Right, as the OGs be telling me. But until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Sending peace. It's your man, SoulMan IT. Deuces. Out.